the 586B on both sides. Even though the A's would work, right, you understand, but industry standard is 568. Thank you. I transferred. 568B on both sides. For a crossover cable, which is what we're building because we're going from DTE to DTE, right, computer to computer, then we have to do what we call a straight through cable. I'm sorry, a crossover cable. And this is standard, guys. We've been making these for years. You know, like if I was to connect a Ethernet printer directly to my computer using the Ethernet port, then I would do I do an A to B, I do a crossover cable. Because the printer thinks it's a data terminal equipment, is a data terminal equipment, and the computer is a data terminal equipment. So what's a DTE? What is a data terminal equipment? This is anything on the network that originates packets or receives packets. DCE is what it flows through to get between the DTEs. So your routers, that would be a DCE, right? Switches would be DCE. Gateways would be DCE, right? You understand? So what's its devices, not the cable. The cable is not considered, it's just the cable. A modem would be a DCE because it flows through it. It's communication equipment. It's not, the modem is not intended to process or use the data. The modem is just dependent to do what? To translate it and send it on, right? You understand? Modulate it and demodulate. So, we're going to build a crossover cable, and we're going to use a UTP. What's UTP cable? That's unshielded twisted pair, right? And we're using Cat 5e. We're using category 5, category 5e, which is rated at 100 megabits. If you don't compress the data. So even the cables that we're doing now won't handle a gigabit Ethernet, but they compress the data, right? So what we have is we have these little strippers. We have two jacket strippers. So what's the jacket? That's the guy, outside guy. That's the only purpose in life is to protect the cable against the environment, right? Huh? So a jacket stripper. We have different types. We got some really neat ones, but we don't need them. We got one I need to show y'all where you can actually do a strip, and then you could flip it around, and they'll actually scribe the outside of the cable, so you can just tear it apart, which is really neat. Since we're not doing that, that would be for real thick jackets, and also if you're trying to do a long strip on the jacket, because the friction of the conductors will be hard to pull the cable off. This is a plastic, and it's pretty slippery, so it comes off pretty easy on this jacket. So what we'll do is we'll come up here, and we need on this one we adjust the depth. So what we're trying to do is we're trying to strip off the jacket and not scribe or nick the wires, right? So the first thing we'll do once we cut this off is we'll bend the wires and make sure there's no notches. Especially if you go down and scribe. If you put a little scribe into the solid strand wire, they break extremely easy. And you've seen that people cut glass, but glass cutters don't cut glass. Glass cutters scribe the glass. And once you put that little notch down through there, then you put it across something and you hit it, it'll break right down the line, right? So anything that's solid don't like to be scribed. If you do that, it breaks extremely easy. So we're going to strip off about 4 inches, even though we're going to end up with a 1/4 inch. What we strip off about 4 inches for, it makes it so much easier to arrange the conductors in the right order. So if you got it set right, so here I might, if this was a new one, I might put it out here on the very end and do some practice strips, and I would check to see if it scribes, right? You understand, it scribes the conductor. And then I would come back and then I would adjust it right here. No, I didn't. Nobody told me. We provide everything this way. Let's have safe prices. No open toe shoes, right? No shorts.
You got about 20 pairs.
Yeah. Throwing a pair.
He's got it.
I am at work. Yeah.
So this is, now you can see, can y'all see it now? Is it up yet? So this is the adjustment right here on this one. So what you do is just get a Phillips head screwdriver and adjust it out until it describes it, right? On this one, this is a little different. So this is the way you adjust this one, the depth of this one. We set it all the way out, which would be a 9. So on this one, we would come up here and we just put it down about 4 inches, right? And we'll just come up here and put it into the right slot. Just do one. Spin it once, come up here. And it shouldn't go all the way through. It should scribe it, right? Then you just bend it and it breaks. Then what we do is we come out and this is the strength number right here. It also helps us to pull. So when you pull, yeah, we're going to cut this off right flush. This thing cuts it. Then we come up here, and what we're going to do is we're going to untwist them. Oh, sorry. We're going to untwist them. Yeah, usually I put a sheet of paper down here and put little squares on it. It shows me to make sure I'm in the camera. Then what we do, once we get them untwisted, is I usually use the crimp tool because it's got a nice rubber or plastic handle on it. And then I just take the handle. What we're trying to do is get all the rolls out. Just use this to move it on a straight cable. Okay, then what we do, once we get them pretty straight, if we're going to come up here and we're going to arrange them now, because now we can deal with them, right? You understand that? If you try to cut them off way down here, where we're going to end up cutting them off, then it's going to be almost impossible to get them in the right order because they're going to be so short. So what's the order for a B? I'm listening. Orange, white, orange. Okay, orange, white, orange. Green, white, which is your second pair, by the way, that's actually used. Then they split the pairs for some reason. Why they do that, I don't know. Yeah, blue. So blue would be next. Blue, right, green. White, brown. I need to rub them. That they're still curled up down here on the bottom, which is where we're going to end up at. And what you try to do is you try to arrange them coming out of the jacket too. And then we come back and double check, make sure it's in the right order. Orange, white, orange, green, white, blue, blue, white, green, brown, white, brown. And then what we want to do is we want to clip off about, I don't know, about maybe half inch, maybe. And your stripper, your cutter, so we're going to use this guy right here. Okay. We're going to put it in there, and then we're going to do we're going to clip off all the excess. Then what we're going to do is we're going to hold this, right? Understand? You don't want to let it go. Then we're going to come up here and take our RJ45. We're going to put it where the gold pins up. So pin 1 is over here on the left. This is an 8-pin connector. And then we're going to start it in there. Okay. And then what we want to do is we're going to push it all the way in until we can see little gold spots out here on the end. That's the actual connector, so we know we got it in there far enough, right? And then I'm going to make sure the jacket is under this little plateau right here. This is the crimp for the jacket. So that way the conductors are not supporting the tension, right, if we pull on this thing. We're going to come up here and look at the end. And we're going to make sure that we see all these little gold tips out here, copper tips out there. So now we know it's butted all the way up on the end. Before we crimp it, we're going to come up and double check the color code. Orange, white, orange. And if they're not in the right order, what are we going to do? Pull it back out, right? So what you got to do, because you got to let go with it, and sometimes they don't get into the little slots right. Orange, white, orange, green, white, and I can't tell what the other one is. Something's in my way. Orange, white, orange. Blue, white, green, brown, white, brown. Okay. Now, once we get it in the right order, what we're looking at at the tip right here, we're looking for all the copper dots, right? You understand that? We're making sure the jacket is under the crimp, right? Understand? And then what we're going to do, we're going to take it and insert it into the crimp. You can see it's got the tab on it, so you know which way the tab goes. These guys right here, these are little fingers that's going to push the metal tabs down into the conductor. We don't have to strip the conductor. The tabs actually strip the conductors and make contact when we go into that. So push it in, come up here, crimp it down. Oops. Sorry. And then we should be ready to go. And then what do? We do the other side. Can't check it until we do the other side, right? Now, they do have, we don't have the equipment to check the cable under speed, but we do. And what we're looking for is we're trying to only get it out of the twist that much right there. Because the further you get it out of the twist, the more likelihood you're going to change what we call the characteristics impedance of the cable. If you change the characteristics impedance of the cable, then the cable will not run at its rated speed. It will probably work, but not at its rated speed. Okay, understand? And what Ethernet does is it tries to transmit. If the data gets garbled, then it automatically drops back to a slower speed. It can't communicate at the speed it needs to communicate at, right? So you might have a 100 megabit network or a gigabit. If you get up to a gigabit, then you're probably going to use the Cat6 cable, category 6 cable, and that's really, really critical that you do that correctly, right? Okay. Now once we get it made, then we'll come up here and we'll use the cable tester, and this is a lot better than using. Now all we're doing here is checking continuity. We're not checking it at speed. And so we got 2 connections on the cable tester, and then we just plug it in both sides. And we've got a small one, so if you're running them real long distances, you can just put this one on transmit, and over there you put the little module. I'll go get it and plug it in there, and you can check a real long cable. But these short cables, this is the easiest way to do it. Now, if we were doing a straight through cable, then the lights would blink in session. So when the transmit came on, this would come on, and vice versa. This on the very end, this is for shield. So this would be if you were using STP cable instead of UTP cable. So here, when the transmit blinks the shield, this one won't come on. Why? Because we're using unshielded cable. So we turn this on, and we can just come up here and just step it through. And then it looks good because the green and whites are swapped, right? So see the way it kind of jumps around. I'll write down the code for you. So when we're transmitting on this one, we're receiving on that one, right? Understand? Because it's twisted, right? And when we're, so this would be green, white. I mean, this would be green, white. This would be green way over here. And then they start in order. And then when they get down here, they swap around, right? We're okay? So, like I said, I'll go get a pair of those. I'll get a pair of Here's your cable. Here's your tools. Here's your strippers. They're all inside here.